is the time to work on you and your business. So I've created a group, an online academy for professionals and entrepreneurs. Power Partners will help you to start helping yourself.
Helped me change my life and my business.
Not a Toastmasters, it's not a BNI, it's not any of these, but it is. So it's all this stuff in one place.
Get the results that you deserve right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's make it happen. See you in Power Partners.
Good morning, good morning, and good morning. And you are in the right place if you're watching me today, because this is the Coaches Lounge with Barbara J. Beckley and wonderful coaches, educators, and consultants that I bring to this room. Because I thought about it. I said, I see a lot of different shows. You know, we have their Facebook groups, you know, all that kind of shows on TV. But I never really seen a show that really honed in on coaches and people that help other people move the needle in their lives, that move their goals to where they want to go to the next level. That's a job. That's a job of its own. And I know, because I am, you know, we got different hats here. I'm a, you know, visibility and social media strategist. You know, some people call me a coach. You know, I try to use different words, different languages, but it all pans out to you're helping somebody else get to the next level where they need to be. And a lot of times people wouldn't be in a certain place, because I even have my own coach. A coach has a coach. And if you didn't have that person kind of cheering you on, giving you those tips, strategizing with you, and making you think about things a little bit more to the next level than maybe you might have even thought of. And I had that epiphany just last week with one of my coaches. And I was like, wow, I didn't even realize that. It was an aha moment. Coaches, educators, consultants love those aha moments, that light bulb that pops. They can see it in a person's head when it happens. And I feel like they need to be shown. So that's why I developed this particular show called the Coaches Lounge, to make sure that you understand what these coaches do. Get a little bit backstory about them, because I always tell people you need to build relationships, especially with a person that's going to be in your life for a long period of time, and that's going to be helping you. If you don't know their backstory, if you don't know what they do, if you don't know the accreditation, I would question that, because you want to make sure that it's somebody for you. There's billions of coaches, I always say, but there's only that one that will resonate with you, and that's why I bring them on here to see what will resonate. What maybe might be that charge, and say, oh, I want to talk to that person, because that person really has something that I need to get myself to the next level. So with that, we have two wonderful guests today. And usually when I have women on, I call them queens, if y'all probably know. But I have two kings today. That I was like, well, I got two male kings today. And I always call them royalty, because they are royalty. They are stepping out. They are helping. They're getting all the information. And when you think about it, a coach has information already that they already went to school for, that they trained for, and they're taking all that information and they're helping you out with it. So that's why I call them royalty, because it takes a lot to do that. So first, we're going to have a wonderful, amazing guest that I know, love, but I have to, do my host objective today. And this is Mr. Barry B. Mixon. If you don't know this man, then your head is in the sand. I don't know what's going on in your world. But he is basically an educator of the highest, especially helping these children out here nowadays and helping adults. He has helped me. I have been in one of his classes. Yes, I have. And I have learned a lot. He's also an international award-winning speaker. He's the Gem Hunter Stories producer and host, and also on this network too. Comes every Wednesday giving us big information about the history of gems and all relating that to individuals, which again, something that I have learned because he's my coach too as well. So we learn from each other. And he's just a plethora of other things that I don't want to go on and on because I want him to tell you his story before we get into what he does when he coaches and consults with people. But before I do that, I know I have to bring him on the right way. I just can't just put him up on the screen. So we'll be right back after this small video. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. I finally got the Gem Hunter on my Coaches Lounge show.
Thank you.
You're so busy. You got so many things going on. I had to go to your, your VA to get you on the show. I was like, wow.
I'm supposed to act like but of course, we have you on the list here. Put Barbara higher up on the list next time. Thank you.
Thank you for letting them know to kind of ease me up.
Right. Right.
Well, Mr. Barry B. Mixon, I want to first thank you again for coming on the show. And I just want to get right to it because I want people, one thing, like I said about it, I want people to get to know different coaches, consultants, and educators. And I say the three because they all resonate a little bit. And I didn't want to miss out on those educators and consultants because a lot of people have different names, different titles. But overall, you're basically helping somebody get to that next level in their lives in whatever area, if it's health, if it's personal development, if it's just understand themselves. And for you, I know that you take a hold of understanding the value of your story. So before you get into that, let's hear about your little backstory before we talk about that.
Wow. All right. So taking 62 years and compressing it in a minute or less. Thanks, Barbara. This is where Toastmasters come in. Barry B. Mixon, born originally in Harlem, New York. Grew up in an abusive and dysfunctional household. My mom was alcoholism. Joined the Marine Corps when I was 17, literally turned 18 in boot camp. I did 14 years in the Marine Corps. I used to fly. I was a navigator on C-130s. Got out, started going to college, degrees in biology, chemistry, biochem. A lot of anger inside. Growing up, PTSD, all kinds of things. And I was homeless in 1992, 30 years ago. And I made a promise to God that if I ever got out of homelessness, which it didn't seem like it was ever going to happen, that I would spend the rest of my life helping people discover their own value. Because my problem, a lot of people think of homelessness, they think, oh, he was an alcoholic or he was, drug addict and something like that. Not for me, it was anger. That anger was eating inside of me. That's why I resonated with, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and I resonated with Darth Vader because that's really his story. Anger and self-esteem issues. So what I do now, I don't know how I even got into it. God just led me to this direction to take gemstones. When I started studying gemology, I started realizing that a lot of the same characteristics and traits and that concepts that we highly value in jewelry or fine jewelry, gemstones, precious metals, we have in ourselves. So the gem hunter, gemological appraisals and storytelling services, art, science, history, and magic. Our mission is to take those concepts to show people how those same concepts that we love in gemstones apply to you. And it's so wonderful because everybody loves gemstone. I don't care if you're white, black, male, female, no matter where you are in the world, there's some you resonate with gemstones. So I have a concept that nobody really says, oh, I hate diamonds or I hate rubies. They see it. And then if you love that color or you love that characteristic in that gemstone, do you know you have that same characteristic in you? And they're like, really? And so literally I'm teaching and empowering people to discover their own value using something that has been valued from the beginning of time, which is gemstones, precious metals, and fine jewelry. Voila.
Voila. Voila. Yes. You know what I love that you, with everything you did, I just thought about this, Barry, for you being, in that environment when you're growing up, as you said, abusive, and then going at 17, 18, going to the Marine Corps. And then from that point, doing everything you did there and then coming out, I know you said went homeless, but even between all the anger and everything, you still pushed yourself in a direction that it was up-leveled in the Marine Corps when you think about it. I mean, some people could have just left at 17 and said, you know what, I'm going to be on the streets. I'm going to get away from this. I'm just going to do drugs or whatever the case may be, go down that other path. But almost I'm thinking, and you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, the Marine Corps might have saved you a little bit for getting in that road at that time. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, it's so funny. I wrote a book. I was co-authoring a book where we're talking about my stories, and it either goes further back than that. Believe it or not, the issues that I had with my mother, because I thought my name was everything else other than what my name was. But I realized in writing that book, talking about my journey going into the Marine Corps, I realized that my mother was actually my first gunnery sergeant. She used to sit me in front of the television, watching Gomer Pyle, USMC, and I was watching that episode, and I realized that not only did I remember it because I was watching, I think it was like 1962, 1963, I watched it, and I realized that my mother, the way she treated me, and I don't recommend it for everybody. My mother would never win Mother of the Year award, but for me, that was the training that I needed to survive a year living in the streets. I mean, I slept in dumpsters. I slept in alleys. I had rats. I mean, I'm talking about rats. Was like, I won't even say my next door neighbor. They were sometimes my bed partner, but yet those challenges, the antagonists of your story, was the thing that empowered me, was the thing, because just like a diamond is at least 600. This is not real, guys. But if it was real, this would be a 4,600 carat diamond. But all diamonds are at least 600 million years old. And they don't look like the way they look when they get polished and look like this. So here you have something that is in the ground for millions, maybe even a billion years, but it still doesn't change the fact that they're a diamond. And the same thing for us. Those talents and gifts that I exhibit now is because I had to discover them inside myself. I didn't go and get a throat operation or a brain operation. I probably need one, but I didn't get a new brain. I had this, but yet it was the people that I met along my journey that polished me, that faceted me, that made me see my own value. And so my mission is literally to take that concept and spread it all around the world. This time next week, I'll be in France teaching kids and teaching in different companies how, and French people have a hard time telling stories because I think it's because the French Revolution and just the way they came about. But it's literally about being able to see who you are and how you manifest with, as I say, the light. A gemstone is nothing without the light. And that light is the same light that we all live off of, is the light that empowers you.
Yes. Yes. So, now just going to the concept, just still talking about that concept about, discovering your value in the gems. And I know you take that concept within what you do as you consult or you coach others. So I just want to ask, just to give us a little, because I know I want people to reach out to you if they want to work with you, but just to give them just a little eye opener of what you do when you bring in a person. Like if a person comes to you and says, okay, Barry, I need to understand, how just to describe myself or just speak a certain way, or in my value, I don't feel too confident about it. How would you start off with that person?
That's the fun part. What I do first is I'm a Toastmaster, and I won a few championships. And what I do for myself and for my clients is I listen. I just let them talk. I just let them talk. So speaking or telling a story is just like a funnel. You may start out really, really wide and you have all this information, and eventually, and some people are nervous, some people don't know how to say it, but then eventually you get to what I call your authentic sound, your authentic voice. And then now you're just talking, not even just to me, but you're hearing your voice, you're hearing the music that lives inside of your heart. And when you get down to that point, that's your authentic sound. And then we go from there, because it's so amazing. We live in this world where people don't value not only each other, but they don't value themselves. So I just finished working with a client, I always just kind of keep the client's relationship private. But I just finished working with this wonderful woman who is in the IT industry, and she just got a job. I helped her with her interview. Now she just accepted a job, high six figures. Oh my God, in this huge company, huge Fortune like 50 company. And what I did was she went from, I don't know what to do. I'm not sure. I don't know. And I just said, calm down. Tell me what you do. And you could see the change in her. She was like, oh. And then she became like a Jedi. She just started talking. And I said, you see how you did that? There was no ums. There was no what I'm going to do. And she said, well, Barry, that's what I do. And I said, I know. Now you need to tell them what you do. And she was like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Because there's so many people who do incredible things every single, and I'm not talking about the doctors, lawyers, I'm talking about the bus, I'm talking about mom that got 4 kids in the back, driving down the highway, got to worry about what's for dinner, not to mention her own job and career, and women do it effortlessly. It's less like you got 6 or 7 hands at the same time, and then you still make it work. Look at you, Barbara. Your hair is done, your makeup and stuff. I have a hard enough time with just no hair and a little bit of hair. And I'm like, what am I going to do? So and it's just like a diamond. A diamond has 58 facets. If you take out one of these facets, the light doesn't resonate. That's why you have different levels of, not so much different levels of different qualities of diamonds based on what's inside of it, based on the way it's faceted, based on the way it's colored. And those are the things that I do with each client. In my life is amazing because I get to hear people's stories all the time. I just met a man who was 81 years old, and he told his whole story. And I'm 62, and I'm looking, he's telling a story of what he's gone through in his journey. And the name of his speech was A Message from an Old Man. So, that resonated me, right? Well, oh man, okay, he's talking to me. And what he showed the whole audience was his journey through his life. And it wasn't just him telling the story. It was him giving me a lesson of how much do I appreciate my life. The fact that I'm 62 years old, I got all my teeth in my mouth. I don't have no hair, but I used to. But
you have to manage. That's good.
Exactly. Because that's where once upon a time becomes so powerful. And that's what I do. I take clients back to once upon a time when you felt like you were awesome, when you did that, when you won the spelling bee, when you changed that car tire by yourself, the day that your mother told you that she loved you. That's your story. And the only thing I do is the same thing they do in movies. When you watch a movie and you see Luke Skywalker make the decision that he's going to do what he's going to do. That's no different than when you're driving down the highway and you make a decision that you got to get to the right and you do it. You do it even though there's trucks and everything. You make it happen. You get your son's science fair, your daughter's science fair together. You don't have no background in science, but yet you put together a science fair about the different directions of the sun, and you helped your child together. That's Jedi work. That's beautiful. And the only thing you missing is a soundtrack and a trailer, and you got a movie introducing Mom. And there you go.
Well, first of all, that's amazing. I mean, like you said, just understanding your story and really peeling back and having to remind yourself, because like you just said, Barry, you sit back and you tell them, look, calm down. It's going to be okay. You talk. I want to hear from you. And sometimes it's easy for people to say, oh yeah, I do da-da-da. Then other times it's not so easy, or we're our worst critic. I know I was. You know, if somebody asked me a long time ago, Barbara, what makes you special, or what do you do, or whatever, I'm like, I don't know. I just go to work every day. I try to make money. I mean, that's about it. Because I was the shy person. I was the one that didn't see all of the things that other people seen in me. So that's something that I wanted you to talk a little bit about too, because sometimes you might not see it, but others do.
Well, and thank you for saying that. That's the most important thing that I do. Getting people to understand that nothing has value without a story. Think about that for a second. Nothing has value without a story. If there was a fire in my house, or aliens came, or whatever, and they told me that I can only take one thing with me, and I decided to take, I don't know, this tube of chapstick, right? And you're like, Barry, with all the stuff that you have in your house, pictures, video equipment, all kinds, why did you take that chapstick? And if this chapstick was the chapstick that my great-grandfather had back in World War II, and the bullet, someone shot him and the bullet ricocheted off of this chapstick, or something happened this chapstick was the reason why he was able to survive that ordeal, marry my great-grandmother, and then eventually comes down to me, that the whole Barry Mixon exists because of this chapstick. Now this chapstick has a whole different meaning. There's billions of these. And yet now that you understand the story, now that it has value. So extrapolate that to yourself. There's 8 billion people on the planet, but there's only one Barbara J. Beckley. There's only one. And your story, the things that you've gone through in your life, is what makes you different. So the only difference between this diamond and you, Barbara, or any of your viewers, is that you know the story of a diamond. People know that diamonds that diamonds are rare, that diamonds are beautiful, that diamonds exist for millions of billions of years. You know this story. So imagine and you, ladies and gentlemen, just put your name there. So imagine a week from now, somebody said, what did you do on Friday? Man, I met with your name. And you go, oh my God, you met with Barbara? Yes. What was she like? Oh, it was wonderful. Why? Because that person knows your story. That person knows who Barbara J. Beckley is. And I had the honor of being on the Coaches Lounge. Now the story and the value increases only because you now know the story of Barbara J. Beckley and what it means to be on this program.
So basically, even if I don't believe in who Barbara J. Beckley is, if I tell my story, is that what you're saying, that will help me understand? Even though because a lot of times, because we're friends too, you always say, Barbara, you're amazing. I just appreciate you. You have came a long way. And sometimes, it resonates more now. But before we used to say it, I'm like, I don't know that. I don't know why you keep saying that. I do that. I'd be like,
I know. We all do that. I mean, my mother, like I said, my mother called, I thought my name was, Butthole until we can add in, this is a family show, until I was 12. So my thing was, I felt like a rock, which is so funny, ironic that I work with gemstones. I felt like I was a rock. When I was out there homeless, I had 3 degrees. Biology, chemistry, biochem, and 14 Marine Corps, fought in Iraq, all that stuff. But yet I was homeless for a year in Chicago. not because I didn't have value, but because I didn't see my value. I didn't see who I was. And it would pain me so much. So and what happened was I read this book called As a Man Thinketh. In that book, I would quote those lines every day. And basically, it's about the person seeing who that person is. And you repeat it to yourself every day, every time. You remind yourself of your own story. The most important person that you have to tell a story to is to yourself. Become a character, become the hero in your own story and see it like that. And it will change your life. And at first, you don't believe it. Like when I said to God, please, God, get me out of this. And when I said, God, I'll spend the rest of my life helping people, I didn't know what to do. I had gemology wasn't even, I'm from New York and I got a cool Jewish name, popular Jewish name, Barry. That's about all I knew about gemstones. But yet God took me in that direction. And then from there, I was able to I'm a gemologist. I was able to take the schooling that I got from GIA, from GEMA, from the International School of Gemology, and combine it all together and create something different. So if you Google Gemmogical Storyteller, you see me. I'm the only, gemological storyteller, I don't know, in the world, but at least that's what Facebook says, or that's what Google says. So there you go. And now I live in France. I'm going to France next week. And so how does a man that was homeless, literally living in dumpsters for a year, the longest I went without a bath was like 2 weeks. You can imagine. But yet here I am today. And it's not that I got the homeboy hookup or I won the lottery. I started believing in my gifts. I started believing in my talents. My ex-wife, operative word ex, she used to tell me all the time, you're just a fountain of useless information. That's what she used to tell me. And I say that so proudly because it was that insult that made me think, what am I going to do with all this stuff? You know all this stuff. What are you going to do with it? And that's what I challenge my clients. Okay, you want a job. So what? My grandmother wants a job. What makes you different? What are you bringing to this corporation that not only will they enhance you, but you will enhance them? So the client that I was telling you, I said, girl, just don't act like you want a job. Be the job. Tell a story in your mind that you are already in that position. And guess what? This happened just last week. So we're not talking about ancient. Last Friday, she had her interview. They loved her story so much that they called her back Friday afternoon and told her she got the job. Ooh. And this is, if I said the company, I'm talking about, stock exchange, first 50, one of them, like, I don't know, $40 billion in profit, that kind of company. Wow. And a woman and African American. And she had to do a whole panel interview. And I said, tell your story. In fact, they sent the text to her saying, you're an excellent storyteller. And she tells me, Barry, you did it. And I was like, no, you did it. You did it. So that's what I do for my clients. And so when people come to me, I hear what they want to go, what the direction, and then I hear what their story, and then we link it together. Just like a gemstone. We link all the facets together, take out the stuff we don't need, look at the inclusions, see how the inclusions work. Okay. Oh, I used to go to school every day and I walked 7 miles. So that shows perseverance, right? Mm. Oh, I took care of 6 brothers and sisters and I had to do this and I had to do that. That shows that you can multitask, right? Little things. You got hair down to your back and it's beautiful. You look dressed every day. Hey, organizational skills, those little things that you can do that you don't think nothing of it. But in the big scheme of things, think about how your character fits into the character of the world that you live in or the world that you want to live in.
I love that. And I love that you brought the fact about the transferable skills. Because I always tell people, they're like, well, I don't, I just do this and this. And then just like you said, well, every day you wake up and you're on target on things like you said, perseverance, organizational skills. But people don't connect. And see, that's what I love what you do, Barry, is you take, they're telling you what they're about. You're listening. you're downloading in your mind like, okay, well, that's that. I mean, I can see you because you're an artist too. I can see back in your mind. You're like, well, okay, they said this, so they're this. Well,
Mm-hmm.
this is their story, so they're that. They do this.
Mm-hmm.
In our minds, the client of yours is like, I just get up every day and I just
Yeah.
do. We think of it as just a normal routine. You're looking at it as this movie, like a plethora of information that they have that they don't even realize the power or the skills that they have.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's amazing. That's why people need to come to you when they're really discovering your story.
I tell people all the time, being homeless, not that I recommend it as a therapy for everybody. I'll never tell somebody, you know what's wrong with your life? You've never been homeless. No, I never. That's what you should do. Being homeless made me appreciate things. So when people eat a sandwich or eat something today, to you it's a sandwich, you take a couple bites, you're done, you got to get back to work. For me, as someone who remembers the day where that, you mean to tell me I got 2 slices of bread and peanut butter? Oh man, you mean I get peanut butter on both sides and jelly? Whoo, Lord, that's a meal. And when you and when you live in that world where you appreciate the minute things, having something to drink, having clothes, that sweater that used to be a little hole in it. When you're homeless, that sweater is just like, it comes from, I don't know, Saks Fifth Avenue. I'm dating myself now. That Saks is because it kept you warm. So take that. So it's literally taking the words that we use every day, value. A diamond is not rare. It's not rare. There's lots of diamonds. There's diamond mines. They mined like 150 million tons of diamonds just last year alone. But that diamond that man gave you, or that diamond that woman gave you, and it was this like little tiny diamond, you got to kind of like look to see it. For you, that's the Hope Diamond, because that was the beginning of your relationship. It's kind of like moms when kids bring in their drawings, their first drawings, and it's just like a round circle, and you look like a monster in that. But that child is giving, look, mommy, and you look at it, and for you, it's a work of art. For you, it's Picasso could never do the work that my child does. What's the only thing that's different? You value what your child has done. So now you put it up on the refrigerator, you put it up, you hang it, you got it in your office. Imagine taking that power and being able to extrapolate that out to different things in your life.
Now I want to flip the script on that, because I know you this is where your power comes in at.
Okay. So, I'm scared now. I'm like, okay.
I'm that same child, like you said. This is the story, like you said. This is what happened to me. You probably know where I'm going with this. I did a picture, drew a picture.
Oh yeah.
Hey Ma, look at, I did this. That's crap. You go do something else. So it didn't go on no wall. It wasn't like super whatever to her. She basically said, you need to go back and start back on the drawing board because you missed it. You missed it completely. And by the way, you need to do 2 instead of 1 because you missed the first one. So now you got to do 2 of them. So how do you take that from somebody and say
that's Barbara and I know each other, so Barbara just threw me in the deep end. Okay, no problem, I got you.
You got me.
There's 7 elements to every story. There's sound, passion, the hero, the antagonist, which is the most important part of any story, awareness, transformation, and sound again. So I won't go over, if you contact me, I'll go, this is the things that work with my client. But what Barbara's talking about is the antagonist. The antagonist is the obstacle. It's the mountain. It's the ocean. It's the thing that you got to go across in order to make it. So Barbara's mother, and Barbara and I have been friends forever. Barbara's like my bestest friend. So her mother's my mother. Okay. They went through the same training program. Anna's my mother. Sally's Barbara's mother. And that abuse, I went through the same thing. Like, what is this? Oh my God, you're nothing. I brought home, I'm from New York. I brought home a baseball bat. Those little souvenir bats that you get at the game. And I'm a Yankees fan. And I brought home my bat. And I was like, Mom, look, I got a Yankees baseball bat. My mother looked at him just like, oh yeah, I can beat your ass with it. That bat went in the garbage that day. I'm just like, what? In the garbage. But Back to your point, you went through that. People have told you that you're nothing. Oh, you're nothing but a fountain of useful information. Now you can use those insults to empower you. Now, when somebody says something to you, be like, okay, like I taught in Chicago public school system, which that's interesting. And kids would sometimes call you, Mr. Mixon, you're a fill in the blank, and I would look at them and go, really? You really feel that way about me? Yeah, you're a so-and-so. And I'm like, thank you so much. And they're looking at me like, what? I'm like, my mother used to call me that all the time. You really love me, don't you? They're like, Mr. Mixon, what's wrong with you? I said, because you said that word, that doesn't mean that that's who I am. That's why I said my mother was a gunnery sergeant, because my mother taught me how to survive before the Marine Corps did. I should have went to boot camp. Everybody knows about Marine Corps boot camp, right? I should have went to boot camp like, okay, you call me worthless 100 times. I've been called that since I was 3. Can we say that in a different way? I should have laughed at boot camp. Get out and give me 20. Just 20? My mother used to call me, say 40 when I was 4. That's it? Okay. But because what's changed? What my mother didn't change. The harshness of the Marine Corps didn't change. What's changed? The way I thought about it. So when I go through hard times now, when I just say, okay, you've been through this before, but this ain't nothing. This is like, okay. I'm not saying you go through it and it's effortless. You just remember where you came from. And that's the importance of the story. You remember where you came from. You remember when you couldn't pay that light bill. You remember when you didn't have money to fix your car and you had to take a bus, 2 buses, a train, and walk 6 miles. You remember that when you failed that test and you studied. And so that's what I do with my clients. Bring them back to a time when they were successful. Bring them back to a time when they realize that this is where awareness comes in, that this is not something that you can do. This is something that you have to do. Remember that time when you wanted to join the cheerleading team and you were too short, too small, too this, too that, and yet you bust your behind and you did it and you practiced every single day and you did it and you won and everybody was surprised? How is that any different than any of the movies that we've seen where the hero, the heroine in that movie overcame that obstacle? And we cry and we clap. Oh my God. What was that movie? The movie with the boy that was graduated from Notre Dame, Rudy. Remember Rudy? He was too short. He was too this. Yeah. And yet at the end of the game, the end of the movie, the whole stadium was getting emotional, because you think about it. The whole stadium was cheering his name. Yes. Because they knew what he did. They knew who he was. They knew he came to practice every day. They knew he was getting his butt kicked every day. And everybody was bigger than him. Hell, the water boy was bigger than him. That didn't stop Rudy. So all of us have those stories inside of us. All of us have those moments where it's you against the world. And you remember those days when you overcame that. Now let's go back to that. And whatever you did to get there, that's what you can do to get forward. So once upon a time is a time machine. It takes you back to where you were in order so you can move forward, for you can remember your own value to change where you are today.
Yes. Wow. Well, we're gonna take a quick commercial. We'll be right back with Barry B. Mixon on some other things regarding the value of your story.
Okay.
Right back.
And although it may seem a little mundane, packing up boxes and being on the assembly line, what we're really doing is putting in hundreds of hours into the people on the streets who need us. And they need us in a way that none of us will ever understand. And for the last couple of weeks, I've been on the grounds every day. They know we're coming today, they know we're coming tomorrow, and they look forward to seeing us, because we're the one little bit of hope that they have to have a warm meal in their bellies and to know that somebody in the world is actually caring for them and loving them. And without people like you showing up today to give your time, your energy, and your spirit, none of this is possible. So I want to really say thank you to everyone, because what we're doing here today may seem small, but it's actually really, really big, and it's impacting hundreds and thousands of families. So I thank you, I love you, I look forward to doing this with you today. My name is Serena Buffalino, and I am the founder of Help Heal Humanity. Help Heal Humanity is a charity that is focused on unconditional giving, love, and support to some of the most vulnerable communities in the world.
We are back. If you're just coming into the Coaches Lounge with myself, Barbara J. Beckley, we were the wonderful, awesome, amazing, legendary Barry B. Mixon. And he's been talking to us about understand the value of your story in your life, even if it wasn't so, peaches and creams or whatever you want to say. And we did talk, we got a little bit into about that. And I brought that example to Barry because, first of all, I know he could do magic with that. And second of all, understand that even with the antagonist, like you said, right, Barry, that it's just cool. Because me and Barry, like you said, we both had the same mothers, just different names. But I really do. But we still overcame that. But we didn't have to. See, that's the part that I always want to say, Barry. I always tell people you can take the left or you can take the right. I think we both, we still went through our own ordeals and still do sometime today. But we decided, even with our mothers, even with all the other crap that was going on in our life, I'm going to say crap. It's crap. We still took a different route to say, you know what? I still don't want to go down in life. I still want somewhere I know I need to move forward and not take the easy route. See, the easy route is giving up. You gotta say, you know what, I'm just going to sit here and just don't do anything and get on, let people take care of me or let the state take care of me or just become an alcoholic or become a drug addict or sell drugs. It could have went down that road. But we didn't do that. We kind of said, and it's not just talking about just me and Barry, there's others, so many others out there. And I think that by talking about this, Barry, and like you said, really understanding your story and understanding where, even if it was difficult, that you still can come out that person that's amazing.
Oh yeah. And that to me, is the greatest analogy between gemstones and people. There's no pretty gemstones that just come out of the ground, except maybe for the exceptions of pearls. But pearls oftentimes have to be treated in some kind of way, bleached and things like this. But other than that, every gemstone that you see has had to been polished, had to been cut, had to be found in the first place, had to be found. Nobody just walks down the street and go, oh, look, there's a diamond. No, you have to dig. You've seen pictures of these huge mines that you had to go to get it. So the first thing that I ask people to do, even before they become my clients, is to think about what you've done. Think about, name 2 or 3 things that you've done despite where you came from, despite that you're black, despite that you're a woman, despite that you may not look the same way as everybody else. You may not think, because those are the things that make you special. Those are the things, just like that beautiful commercial with Serena. Think about it. Serena comes from, I don't know if you know the history, but I know Barbara, I'm talking about your viewers. She comes from Canada. She's helping people in Haiti. She's a white woman and she's helping people who are black like me in Haiti. I'm not helping people in Haiti myself. But imagine there's a Haitian boy, there's a Haitian girl who is today or later on will eat lunch because of this white woman that lives in Canada. And that person might be a doctor, a lawyer, a person who figures out cancer, the person that figures out global warming, something like that. And that came because of not just Serena, but all the volunteers that put those things. You saw that woman with all them boxes and she had to put in wherever. And it wasn't like an official Help Heal Humanity box. It was a Reese's box. That means there used to be Reese's candy on there. And they, as Barbara always said, repurposed the box to do something incredible. So all of us have to begin to understand that one, and, you know, we hear it all the time. Oh, you're special, you're unique. You really need to embody that. Yeah. Barbara, can I say my thing from As a Man Think? I think it only takes about a minute. So there's a book. Hold on one second. Let's just 1 second. 1 second. I know I'm totally off camera. Sorry.
Okay.
Totally
well, while he's running to get that, because I
got it.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the book that saved my life. It's a little book called As a Man Thinketh. And actually, this is all by James Allen. This is all 5 of his books. So As a Man Thinketh is just one little book in there. And you can see it's all beat up. It's 30 years old. This is the book that I had when I was homeless. And there's this section in here that changed my life. And it goes, though your circumstances may be uncongenial, they shall not long remain so, but perceive an idea and strive to reach it. You cannot travel within and stand still without. I don't need this book. Here is a youth, hard pressed by poverty and labor, confined long hours in an unhealthy workshop, unschooled and lacking all the arts of refinement. But he dreams of better things. He thinks of intelligence, of refinement, of grace and beauty. He conceives of and mentally builds up an ideal condition of life. The vision of a wider liberty and a larger scope takes possession of him. Unrest urges him to action, and he utilizes all his spare time and means, small though they are, to the development of his latent powers and resources. Very soon, so altered has his mind become that the workshop can no longer hold him. It has become so out of harmony with his mentality that it falls out of his life as a garment, is cast aside. And with the growth of opportunity which fit the scope of his expanding powers, he passes out of it forever. Years later, we see this youth as a full-grown man. We find him a master of certain forces of the mind which he wields with worldwide influence and almost unequal power. In his hands, he holds the cords of gigantic responsibilities. He speaks, and lo, lives are changed. Men and women hang upon his words and remold their characters, and sun-like, he becomes the fixed and luminous center around which innumerable destinies revolve. He has realized the vision of his youth. He has become one with his ideal. And I used to read that every single solitary day, every hour, every day. And if I missed an hour, I would read it twice to make up for that time, because the thing that got me about this, and this is in the depths of homelessness. I mean, I waited for death to happen. I was just like, it's Tuesday. When is death? Come on, we got a schedule because I can't live like this. I mean, it was horrific. And I didn't have time I wasn't a church person. I didn't somebody read the Bible. And I wasn't one of these people that say, Job 3. I wasn't, I had that kind of time. I knew death was happening, but God gave me a different book. God gave me a different book that related to me. And one of my friends was like, all that stuff is in the Bible. I'm like, it is, so it's like, and what got me was that he didn't get the homeboy hookup. She didn't win the lottery. She changed her mind. And I said that every day. And what happened is you begin to embody it. you begin to believe. You remember the Matrix, Barbara? That scene where all the those of you of science fiction, all the agents shot about 1,000 different bullets. What did Neo say? He said no. It's not that the bullets didn't exist; they didn't exist for him. When you watch, and it's not just movies. It's also understanding the scenes that you see. Forrest Gump, when, oh my God, it's when Jenny said to him, "I wish, were you afraid out there with all his adventures?" He went into himself and started talking about when he was in Vietnam and the stars were so pretty. It was nice that he sat on that bay and saw the sparkles of light. He ran across country and it was so beautiful. He didn't know where the earth began and heaven started. Okay, heaven ended. And Jenny looked at him and said, "I wish you were there." And he dropped down. You knew that he came back from wherever he was. And he looked at her and said, "You were."
Yes.
What happened? His mind changed. It's not hocus pocus. It is. And that's what I proudly, on my resume, I got accepted to Northwestern University on a scholarship. On my resume, it says 1992 to 1993 homeless. And one of the interviewers was like, "Why would you put that on your resume?" I said, "That was one of the worst and one of the greatest experiences in my life. Everything that I learned, everything that it all came together when I had nothing else to do but to believe in this person named Barry B. Mixon. And I had to take the good stuff and my mother calling me every name in the book and say, 'Who are you today?' What kind of diamonds? Diamonds are found 200 miles in the ground, 92 or 200 miles in the ground. It takes 3,600 degrees temperature Fahrenheit, 850,000 pounds per square inch pressure. It comes up out of the ground at a speed of 300 miles an hour. And if you don't get all those conditions coming all at the same time, you know what you get? You get a pencil. So what I challenge you, your viewers, myself, is don't be that pencil. Don't be just graphite. Don't be just erased. Understand that who you are. And I say diamonds, but diamonds, rubies, emeralds, sapphires, whatever gemstones resonates to you or for you. Understand that once you understand that process that gemstone went through, it's the same thing that you're going through.
Well, Barry, this has been a pleasure because, like I said, this is like a present for me. I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna be, a little selfish that you came on my show, The Coach's Lounge, just explain who you are, what you do for people, and you are amazing at that because people need to understand the value of their story. So, Barry, can you let everybody know how they can contact you?
Well, you can. There's two ways. Let me tell you the best way to continue to hear. Continue to hear the words. Now, see, you got to tell a story in yourself. So for me, Shakespeare, to be or not to be. No. So to continue to hear my words, right? Check out my program. It's called Gem Hunter Stories. It's on about 6 or 7 streaming platforms. E360 television, Facebook, YouTube. Check it out and subscribe. And if you want to contact me directly, just go to Gem Hunter Stories. Just go The Gem Hunter Stories. I have two different things. The Gem Hunter, THEGEM Hunter at Mac.com. thegemhunter@mac.com and contact me and let's have a conversation, because once you understand, the most powerful thing that you can ever do in your life is learn how to tell a story. Everything that you see, the way you hear, the person, the things, the travels and everything else all came about because I understood that once you have a story in your head and you repeat it and you be able to tell that story, your whole life will change. And I guarantee it.
Yes. So with that said, I thank you again, Barry B. Mixon, for coming on the Coach's Lounge. Everybody, all the audience, you can reach Barry. Like you said, he's on all the platforms. He has his own show under this network to E360 TV and the Diamond Factor, which we basically sponsor the show. But I'm telling you, one of the best shows under the network. And I just suggest, I'm not going to tell you because people told me about telling people stuff. I'm going to suggest that you reach out to this wonderful, wonderful guest of mine. So with that, we will be on next week with two wonderful guests on the Coaches Lounge. Like I always say, make sure that who you're bringing into your world, that you want them to elevate you and help you, is that you understand, build that relationship first, understand what they can bring to the table, and then at that point, be open enough to learn and grow so you can grow within your own life, because that's what they're there for. So with that said, see you next week. Thank you, Barry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. Have a great weekend and discover the value of your own story. Here's the gem bit. There's a thing in gemology called refractive index. That's the study of how much a gemstone will bend white light into the different colors. And garnet has the highest refractive index of any colored gemstone except for a diamond. A diamond's refractive index is about 2.4, whereas a garnet, especially a demantoid garnet, has a refractive index of 1.88, which gives garnet a wonderful brilliance. To me, a garnet is better. A Savorite garnet is even better than an emerald. Discover the value of your story.